Let's begin by offering our respects to ISKCON founder Acharya and our preeminent Shiksha Guru, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
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 Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Itti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Taru Vyascha Kripa Sindhu Vya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So we welcome all of you to our weekly online Bhagavad Gita classes. Very happy to see here with us. We have Auntie Neeta, Lavina, Meena Bharwani, Karuna, Divya, Khushbu, N.C. Venkatchari, Rito Lalwani, Manju, Ayush, Dipti Adnani, Sri Radhe Hari Devidasi, and Beena Dadlani. Okay. So what did we see in the previous class?
We saw person who are say who are not devotees, but they do what to say they what is the position of the people who are not devotees but they do the I'm not able to explain it. e-
They
the
worship?
yeah, their devotion, or they do the I'm not able to explain it how to do.
Okay, so we saw worship in the three modes, no? How there is worship in the mode of goodness, how there is worship in the
Passion.
passion and ignorance. So Krishna said that men in the mode of goodness, they worship whom?
Devatas.
Devatas. Those who are in the mode of passion, they worship
In demons.
demons. And those in the mode of ignorance, they worship?
Ghost and
Yes, ghosts and
Spirits.
spirits.
Ghosts and
Ghosts
spirits.
and spirits. Yes. So there is also worship in the three modes. Just because somebody is worshipping does not mean that that worship is perfect. No. So if somebody is worshipping ghosts and spirits, or somebody is engaging in some kind of black magic, that is not the recommended mode of worship. So Krishna has explained so far we saw worship in the three modes. So in this chapter, basically Krishna is going to elaborate chapter 17, divisions of faith, it is titled. He's going to elaborate different aspects in the three modes of material nature. Okay. Who can read today?
Aina.
Can I read?
Yes, Ayush. Thank you. So we have to start from the 7th verse. Let's hear the shloka first.
आहारस्त्वपि सर्वस्य त्रिविधो भवति प्रियः यज्ञस्तपस्तथा दानं तेषां भेदमिमं शृणु.
Even the food each person prefers is of three kinds, according to the three modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerities, and charity. Now hear of the distinctions between them.
So Krishna is saying that the food is also in the three modes. So we have food in the mode of goodness, we say sattvic food, no? Sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic food. Food in the mode of goodness, food in the mode of passion, and food in the mode of ignorance. So this is nowadays a very hot topic. What should we eat? What should we not eat? No, what is healthy? What is not healthy? But Krishna has already explained this millions of years ago. What is the kind of food that you should be eating? No. And so he's going to elaborate this. And then he also goes on to elaborate sacrifices, austerity, and charity in the three modes. See here in the Sanskrit, you can see aharas. Ahara means the what we eat, no? Ahar. And then he's also going to explain yagya, tapas, and danam. Sacrifice, austerity, and charity in the three modes of material nature. So there are three vidho, there are three kinds. One should not think that food is everything that is food can be eaten. No, it's not at the same level. It's not at the same level. Foods that are in the mode of goodness are higher than foods in the mode of passion and ignorance. So Krishna is saying that now here of the distinctions, no, bhedam, there is a bheda, there is a difference, there is a distinction between the foods in the three categories of sacrifices, austerity, and charity. Even charity, not even any charity is at the same level. Somebody may give away a lot of money, but if that charity is not to the right person, in the right mood, then it will be charity in the mode of passion and ignorance, which is not recommended. Same to do with austerity, sacrifices, and austerities. For example, what Hiranyakashipu did is yes, it was a lot of tapasya, a lot of austerity, but that doesn't mean that it was of the first quality, first class. So like that, one must understand that there are distinctions. There are distinctions. Not any charity, any food, any sacrifice, any austerities at the same level. So let us see what Krishna is going to elaborate. So first he's going to talk about the foods in the three modes.
आयुः सत्त्वबलारोग्य सुखप्रीतिविवर्धनाः रस्याः स्निग्धा स्थिरा हृद्या आहाराः सात्विकप्रियाः.
Foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration.
Okay, Ayush,
of
you
life.
need to be a little louder. I can barely hear you, please.
Foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart.
So here Krishna is explaining the food that is sattvic, food that is in the mode of goodness. Ahara sattvika priyaha, Krishna is saying. So what is that ahara which is sattvic? Krishna is saying that foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increase duration of life. So first of all, what is the benefit of these sattvic foods? It increases the duration of life. So if one wants to live a long life, then one should have only sattvic food. Rajasic and tamasic food will reduce the lifespan. It will reduce the lifespan. This is the reason why you will see that nowadays, with every passing year, people are more and more into Rajasic and Tamasic foods, and therefore you will see people are dying at a younger age. People previously they would have more Sattvic foods, and they would live a longer lifespan. So first of all, the Sattvic food will increase the duration of life. Ayu, no, Ayu means duration of life. Then it purifies one's existence. So it purifies your consciousness, it purifies your mind, it gives you a very clear mind. No, there is no confusion, there is no agitation of the mind. It's the mind is also very purified. No, your consciousness is also purified when you have sattvic food. Then it gives strength. So one has physical strength as well as one has mental strength. Health, we already discussed health, happiness, and satisfaction. By eating sattvic food, one is also healthy. One has less diseases. Other foods will give you more diseases. No? This also we can see with every passing generation how at a younger age now they are getting diseases compared to the previous generations. Happiness and satisfaction. Satisfaction means how when you eat that food you feel yes satisfied. No? That feeling of satisfaction is there when you have sattvic foods. So what kind of foods are sattvic? Juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. Pleasing to the heart. So fatty does not mean high in calories. Fatty means foods like milk. Milk is the fat of the animal that is extracted without killing the animal. We don't have to kill the cow to extract the milk from the cow. So that is a fatty food. And milk is considered to be in the mode of goodness. But of course, pure cow's milk. See, sometimes people argue that, yes, it is true that in the modern times, in the dairy farms, the cows are not treated very nicely. No, in the goshalas that are maintained by some religious organizations, the cows are taken care of very nicely, and that is a Vedic system. In the Vedic society, every house they had a small plot of land where they would grow their own vegetables, they would grow their own fruits, and they would have one cow. So with that one cow, they would get milk, and with that milk, they would make ghee, yogurt, butter, and so many other products. And they would grow their own fruits and vegetables without any chemicals, fertilizers, and very lovingly they themselves grow it. So that food was wholesome and it was fatty and it was very healthy and it is completely sattvic. No? But now in the modern times, our foods are passing through so many hands before they reach our plate. Somebody else is growing our food, somebody else is transporting our food, and it is passing through so many processes, no, before it comes to our plate. So therefore, it is not that purity is not there anymore in our foods. But as far as possible, we should try and have this kind of food, juicy, fatty, wholesome, and which is pleasing to the heart, pleasing to the heart. So, for example, fruits, roots, vegetables, milk, your dry fruits. These are all foods that are wholesome, pleasing to the heart, that will increase your duration of life. It will keep your mind clear. Your thought process will be very clean. It will give you strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. So this is sattvic food, and it is only sattvic food that we offer to the Lord. That, see, we eat sattvic because that is what we offer to the Lord. So what we are eating is only the remnants of the Lord. So when we cook with the mentality that this food that I'm cooking right now is for Krishna, automatically you will cook with first class ingredients. Is it not? You will cook with first class ingredients. And when you cook with first class ingredients and you offer it to the Lord, and then you are taking the remnants of the Lord, automatically you are also deriving the benefits of that sattvic food. So when we cook, we should cook with a mentality that we are cooking for the Lord. Now, one may be using ingredients which are all sattvic, but if one is cooking in anger, if one is cooking in frustration, then it will imbibe the rajasic or the tamasic qualities also. So one should, even the person who's cooking should cook with love and affection. Again, because again, if you're cooking with a consciousness that this food that I'm cooking is for Krishna, automatically you are not going to cook with anger. No, but when we eat food outside in restaurants, that food was that food cooked with love and affection for the Lord? The person who has cooked that meal in a restaurant is probably angry with someone. No, probably he has some clashes with his family, or he's angry with his boss. He is doing that cooking only because he is receiving a salary. So the mentality or the consciousness of the cook also goes into the food. Although the ingredients may be okay, it's only vegetables, it is all vegetarian, but the consciousness of the cook also goes into that food. So even if the ingredients are all sattvic, but it is cooked with anger, then that food will imbibe the rajasic or the tamasic qualities. Therefore, prasad should always be cooked by a devotee. Srila Prabhupada always taught us that food that is being offered to the Lord should be cooked by a devotee. Food that is cooked by a non-devotee is not fit for being offered to the Lord. Is not fit to be offered to the Lord. That is why we don't order outside foods in a spiritual program, for example, because that food was not, even though the ingredients are vegetarian or the ingredients are sattvic, it was not cooked out of love and affection for the Lord. So how can you offer that to the Lord? The Lord is not seeing the ingredients. What is he seeing? What is the chief ingredient in the food when we offer to the Lord? The number one thing that we need is, the Lord sees is
Love and devotion.
love and devotion. Exactly. The number one thing is love and devotion. No. So the Lord is not saying whether you've made 108 preparations, but if it was cooked out of anger and frustration, and if it was cooked out of another motive, no, just a motive that I'm going to earn money, receive money, then how can that be prasad? How can that be offered to the Lord? That was not cooked with love for the Lord. But when we make our own foods, then it is cooked with love and devotion. That's why food that is cooked by a non-devotee is not fit for offering to the Lord. We should remember this always. Sometimes we just get caught up with ingredients. Okay, it contains this. It's all vegetarian, so we can use it. No. Love and devotion. Okay, so here you have sattvic. Foods that are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart and pure in nature. Let's see now foods in the mode of passion.
कट्वं ललवणात्युष्ण तीक्ष्णरूक्षविदाहिनः आहारा राजसस्येष्टा दुःखशोकामयप्रदाः.
Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery, and disease.
So what kind of foods are in the mode of passion? What kind of foods are rajasic? If they are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot. So it's not that all bitter foods are in the mode of passion. It too bitter. So you have to remember that too bitter. Okay. Here he is Krishna saying too bitter, too sour, salty, hot. So if the food is very, very spicy, no, we Indians love our spices, no, we like to have spicy food. But Krishna is saying that if the food is too spicy, also in the mode of passion, pungent. What kind of foods are pungent? Garlic is pungent, is it not? dry and burning. So very, very spicy food also are dear to those in the mode of passion. So these foods one should also avoid. Such foods, what is the result of having such foods? It causes distress. How does it cause distress? While we are eating itself, we are feeling distress. Is it not? If the food is too spicy, aren't we feeling distress when we are eating it? If the food is too bitter, too sour, then there is distress while we are eating the food itself. So such foods cause distress, misery, and disease. Because it is causing distress. See, such foods, when they go into the body, they disturb the mucus. In our stomach, we have a mucus lining, which is meant to protect the walls of the stomach. But when we have food that is very, very spicy, very pungent, then it corrodes this layer, and it causes gastric problems, because it's burning the walls of the stomach by corroding that layer. So therefore, it is causing misery and disease. Therefore, it is causing misery and disease. Nowadays, many people have digestive issues. Many people have gastric issues because they are eating foods in the mode of passion. Foods that are too hot, too pungent, dry, burning, too bitter, too sour. So such foods, they cause distress, misery, and disease, Krishna says. So this is why we don't have garlic and onions. Here, you can see. Even tea, coffee. Tea and coffee also are more foods in the mode of passion. This is why tea and coffee causes gastric issues. Somebody, when one has gastric issues and goes to the doctor will say no more tea and no more coffee. That's the first thing the doctor will say. So it causes gastric issues, tea and coffee. So it is in the mode of passion. Now say food, let's say food in the mode of ignorance.
यातयामं गतरसं पूतिपर्युषितं च यन् उच्छिष्टमपि चामेध्यं भोजनं तामसप्रियम्.
Food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness.
So what kind of food is in the mode of darkness, no? In the tamoguna. Food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten. That food is unfit to be eaten. Food should always be eaten fresh. The only kind of food that can be eaten beyond 3 hours of preparation is
Prasadam.
prasad, exactly, because prasad is transcendental. Prasad is transcendental. So food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten is unfit for eating unless it is prasad. So therefore, when we cook, we offer at that time. We don't cook for in the morning and then offer that food in the evening to the Lord. When we cook right away, we offer. Of course, it should be warm, not very boiling hot, but we offer at that time, and then it can be consumed later because now it is prasad. Okay. So what is happening nowadays in the modern times is people cook and they will freeze the food. And then they have frozen food, or there is canned food, tinned food. All these are not suitable for consumption. They are tasteless. See, automatically that food which is frozen, which is cooked more than 3 hours before consumption, that food automatically is tasteless. Any frozen vegetable you prepare, it will not taste as good as the vegetable that was cut and cooked and eaten fresh. You will know the difference in the taste immediately. So food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed, food that is decomposed and putrid, that which is spoiled, and food consisting of remnants. Remnants means that which has touched the saliva of somebody else. No, we don't. That's why we say jhuta, no? Dusre ka jhuta we do not have. We should not take the remnants of somebody else, except
Krishna.
Except Guru
God's.
Krishna.
except Krishna's remnants
and Guru.
and Guru and
Your own kids.
kids. What about other saintly people? Only your guru is not the only spiritually advanced person. There are other spiritually advanced people as well, right? Yes,
Divya
guru.
Manushyas, yeah.
Yes, other Vaishnavas, no, advanced Vaishnavas also. So we can take the remnants of advanced devotees, the spiritual master, and of course Krishna's remnants. But otherwise, if you take the juta of somebody else, it's not suitable for eating. It will cause disease. It will cause disease. Nowadays, it's very common. You go to a restaurant and people are taking with a juta spoon from the same plate. Or it's very cool to eat from somebody else's plate. Hey, what are you eating? Let me eat. No, that's not what Krishna recommends in the Bhagavad Gita. That's why in programs when we serve the food, this is something that I've observed in many homes, not in ISKCON, but in other homes. But we know that Prabhupada has taught us when food is served, if somebody is eating and you're giving a second offering, that plate should not touch the serving spoon should not touch the plate of the person who's eating, because that plate is now contaminated. No, that plate has come in touch with his saliva, and when you're putting the serving spoon on that plate, your serving spoon is going, if that serving spoon touches that plate, then you're contaminating even the spoon with the saliva of that person, and that is being distributed to everybody else in the program.
But there are many people who don't listen, even if we tell them that don't do like that, means don't touch the plate of or anything, but they still do the same thing. They say no, even if we take it little up, it will be dropped out of the plate, it will be waste and all this thing, they say like that.
Yeah, so they have to come to Gita class. Yeah, we have to educate the people. If they don't listen, you still have to insist. You have to insist and you have to tell them, and tell them sweetly, tell them politely, but we have to tell them. Our duty is to, as far as possible, we have to tell them. Okay. So these are the things, these are basic etiquettes in a program. We should not do that. Okay. And if we see somebody doing it, then we have to educate them. We have to educate them. Okay. So again, consisting of remnants. This is the reason why even when we serve with the hand should not touch the plate. If you're, let's say somebody is giving you, give me some more rice, you cannot touch the plate of the person and you serve the thing on top of that, but the other hand is touching the plate, is it not? Or if we are eating, sometimes people are serving, they are at the serving table and they are serving food to others, but on the other hand, they are popping some pakoras in the mouth. You cannot do that. Either you serve or you go and eat. You cannot do both simultaneously. This is a very bad habit that even we Indians have developed in some programs, which is which is not appropriate at all. So we have to be very, very careful, clean, and we have to follow the things. See, when we are in touch with fluids, not only saliva, but any fluids, it causes disease, is it not? If the person who's eating has some disease, that can be transported or can be carried over to some other person through the fluids, then then everybody will get sick. During the pandemic, did we not see how we had to wear masks, etc., so that somebody else is not infected by our sneezing, our coughing? So even the same thing with saliva, the diseases can be transported from one person to another person through the body fluids, through saliva. So this is the reason why it will bring disease. And that's why it is, even though the food may be sattvic, even though it is prasad, but if it is coming in touch, you're eating something that has come in touch with somebody's saliva, then it is going to cause disease. It is contaminated. What kind of foods are untouchable? Cannot even touch.
Non-vegetarian.
Exactly. Yes, meat. Why is meat untouchable?
Because it is animals thing, dead animal.
Exactly. Because it's only a dead body. It's only a dead body, is it not? When somebody passes away, and if we are going to see somebody's dead body, then don't we try not to touch the body? We sit at a distance and then we come home and we take a bath, is it not?
Yes.
Because it is untouchable. So how come we can eat that dead body of an animal? If human body only we are not touching and we are coming home and having a bath, then how come we can eat that dead body of an animal? Actually, it is untouchable because it's only a dead body. So such foods, even onions come under the this category. It is food in the mode of ignorance. It is putrid. It is decomposed. It's not fit for eating. So food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed and putrid, food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness. So say very millions of years ago, Krishna has told us what we should eat and what not we should not eat. But we spend so much money, we go to a doctor and then the doctor tells us, okay, you eat this, you eat this, you eat this, you eat this. And even that information is not correct. But Krishna has already given us this information so many years back.
So can
If
I
we
ask,
only- Yes.
what does mean food that is tasteless?
Onions are foods. For example, onion is food that is tasteless. See, tasteless means there is, for example, onion is just pungent. Does it have a flavorful taste? See,
It increase the flavor in the food, right?
it doesn't increase the flavor of the food. Onion removes the flavor of the food. See, onion, the smell of onion is so strong. When you put onion in any food, in any preparation, you will not know. Let's say you have prepared aloo gobi, okay, and you put onions in that, you will not know what is the taste of gobi and what is the taste of that aloo. The only the taste of that onion will be predominant in that preparation.
Oh, it
Once you
overpowers.
stop eating onions, then you will know the real taste of gobi, real taste of potatoes, real taste of brinjals, carrots, beans. Only then you will know the real taste of the vegetables when you stop putting onion and garlic in your food.
I agree that. Yeah, I have
Yeah,
noticed that.
because it completely trumps all other flavors.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is food in the mode of ignorance, Krishna says. Alcohol, wine also. This is actually untouchable. Alcohol, wine, these are not touchable. These are not foods that are recommended. It is
Pizza
not.
is also not touchable.
Yeah, pizza, unless it is, this is pizza with meat.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but if that pizza is prepared with love and affection, with sattvic ingredients and offered to the Lord, then you can have. Then it is pizza prasad. So here you have a summary of the things that Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport. So purpose of food, actually food should be eaten for what purpose? It should help us to increase the duration of our life, purify the mind and increase our bodily strength. So if we are going to eat foods that are not going to give us this, then what is the use of eating that food? If it is not nourishing us, but only reducing our life, reducing our health, then why should we eat such foods? Past authorities selected foods according to the above mentioned purpose. So previously the great sages, they would choose the foods or they would select the foods based on these three categories, whether they are fulfilling these three conditions: increasing the duration of life, purifying the mind and helping our bodily strength. For example, milk products, rice, wheat, sugar, etc. Fatty foods and proteins. Only animal fat of milk is allowed. So milk is animal fat only, but we are extracting it without having to kill the cow. This is the civilized method of obtaining the needed fat. See, when Srila Prabhupada went to the West, vegetarianism was unheard of. That time there were no vegetarian restaurants in the Western world. The first chain of vegetarian restaurants was opened by Srila Prabhupada only worldwide. It's because of Prabhupada only that now the Western world knows vegetarianism or what is a vegetarian restaurant. It was unheard of at that time. So Prabhupada, how did he replace? Because they have been brought up on meat. They would say that the blood of the cow is very tasty. That's what they want. No, that's what they would want. It was at that consciousness was there at that time in the Western world. So how did Srila Prabhupada replace that taste that they have for the blood of the cow? He introduced ghee. By introducing ghee in the Western world, he said, yes, this is also the blood of the cow because it's from the blood that milk is obtained. But we don't have to kill the cow. And sometimes one would argue, but then the cow is also being tortured. Now, of course, in the modern times, Kali Yuga, unfortunately, it is true that in the dairy farms, the cows have to undergo torture to extract that milk. But see, if you see the Vedic system, The cow is the only animal that cannot survive in a forest. The cow is the only animal that can be brought to your home, that can be brought to your house. Because the cow cannot survive in the forest. Why a cow cannot survive in the forest? Is because one cow on one single pregnancy can give milk for up to 8 years. Up to 8 years. So if that milk is not extracted from the cow will undergo excruciating pain and will not be able to survive. So, and the cow is the only animal that gives more milk than what its calf requires. So Krishna would always say, first the calves have to drink the mother's milk from the cow as much as the calf wants, and then whatever remains, then we can consume. Okay, so the cow is the only animal which gives surplus milk far more than what the calf requires. Why? Because this is Krishna's system so that we human beings can benefit from the cow's milk. Cow's milk is closest to the mother's milk. Closest to the mother's milk. If the mother dies, then the child can survive on pure cow's milk. But nowadays we have all these formulas, no? This powdered milk which says that, okay, all these ingredients, all these nutrition, all these minerals are available in this proportion. But still they said that this cannot replace mother's milk. Why? Because every time the mother's milk is tested, the composition and the proportion of the minerals is different. It's never the same. It's not that you have this percentage of this mineral and this percent of that mineral always. So that can be copied in a laboratory. But every time the mother's milk is tested, the composition changes because the mother's body calculates what mineral my child requires automatically. When the child is breastfed, no, and there is a skin contact between the mother and the child, the mother's body calculates, okay, what is the mineral that my child requires more today? And accordingly, mother's body makes milk in that composition that the child requires. This is the reason why they can never emulate or copy that mother's milk formula in your powdered milk, which is nowadays sold in the markets. Isn't that wonderful? And and this is the reason why it is not recommended to extract the milk, keep it in the bottle, then that milk is kept in the fridge, and then that milk is reheated and given to the child because the mother is away at work. Because if there is no skin to skin contact, how will the mother's body be able to calculate what is a mineral that my child requires? And mother's milk is psychological because the more you feed the child, the more milk the mother's body will produce. If somebody is not able to get sufficient milk to feed the child, is because the mother is not very happily feeding the milk to the child, because it is psychological. If the mother is very happy to feed the child her milk, and the child is happily drinking, then the mother's body will produce more milk. When you stop feeding your child milk, or you're feeding milk grudgingly, then that much less milk will be produced in the body of the woman. As long as the mother is feeding the child her milk, the body will produce more milk. Because that's the spiritual calculation. The more you give, the more you get. Material calculation is different, no? If we have $100, I give $50, I'm left with only $50. That is material calculation. But spiritual calculation is not like that. The more we give, the more we get. That is spiritual calculation. So that's the reason why the more we feed our child our milk, the more milk the mother's body will automatically produce. Anyway, so if the mother dies, then the cow's milk is the closest to mother's milk, and the child can survive on the milk of the cow. So only animal fat of milk is allowed.
Cow
This
milk.
is the what's that? This is a civilized method of obtaining the needed fat. It rules out any need for animal slaughter. So there is no need to kill the animal. You can obtain that milk. You can obtain the fat of the animal through the milk. Subhuman way is the fat from animal slaughter. So this is not human. It's not human to slice the throat of an animal because you want that fat. That's not human civilization. What is happening in the modern times in dairy farms? The cows are kept alive as long as the cows are giving milk. Once the cow is old, once the cow cannot give any milk, then slice her throat. What kind of a civilization is that? The best food, remnants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the best food is prasad. Only way to make food antiseptic, eatable, and palatable for all persons is to offer food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and accept remnants. So Krishna already said what he likes to eat. Patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam. We saw this verse in chapter 9. But the chief ingredients is love and devotion are the chief ingredients that the Lord accepts. So when we purchase outside food, even though the ingredients are vegetarian, because it does not have love and devotion with which it was cooked for the Lord, it is not fit to be offered to the Lord. Now
So,
Krishna explains.
can I ask you something? Can we offer food to God anytime, whenever we cook, whenever we immediate? Suppose if I'm cooking in the night, I don't after 6 p.m. Then can I just offer to God? There is no
Yeah.
specific time.
See, the point is, in your home, you set a particular standard according to what you can do. For example, this what you're saying can be done in your home according to your time, place, and circumstances. But this cannot be followed in a temple. In a temple, there is a fixed timetable. The Lord eats at this hour, his breakfast, at this time, his lunch, at this time is the Bhoga Arti, at this time is the Sandhya Arti. So before the Artis are done, they are offered, the Lordships are offered food. Okay. But in our homes, what happens with home deities is the person who is taking care of the deities, that person will set a standard according to his time, place, and circumstances. So what suits you best you can do, but as far as possible, try that there is a fixed timetable
Okay. Okay.
as far as possible. Okay.
Okay.
But home deities, the people at home, they set their standard according to their time, place, and circumstances.
Okay.
Okay, now Krishna is going to talk about sacrifices in the three modes. Let's see.
अफलाकाङ्क्षिभिर्यज्ञो विधिदिष्टो य इज्यते यष्टव्यमेवेति मनः समाधाय स सात्विकः
Of sacrifices, the sacrifice performed according to the directions of Scripture as a matter of duty by those who desire no reward is of the nature of goodness.
So there are so many different kinds of sacrifices. One very popular sacrifice is the yagya, the fire sacrifice. Of course, in the modern times, in Kali Yuga, the recommended sacrifices is Harinam Sankirtan, chanting of the holy name. So anyway, coming back to sacrifices, even sacrifices are in the three modes. So what kind of sacrifice is the mode of goodness? Sacrifice performed according to the directions of the scripture. First of all, it should be sanctioned by the Shastra. It has to be mentioned in the Shastra and it should be done according to the injunctions of the Shastra. As a matter of duty, So because we are human beings, it is our duty to engage in sacrifices. One should not do these sacrifices out of attachment. No, I should not do as, for example, one should not do a sacrifice thinking that, okay, I will do this sacrifice, but I want Krishna to sanction my material desire. No. It has to be done because it is my duty, not because I want the Lord to sanction a desire of mine. It's not to be done as a business deal. Okay. So sacrifices performed out of duty under the injunction of the scriptures by those who desire no reward, not desiring anything in return. That is in the nature of goodness. That is in the mode of goodness.
Are we talking about fasting?
Fasting also is actually that comes under tapasya, austerity. Fasting is an austerity. That also Krishna will say. Yes. So yes, fasting also should be according to Shastra. Shastra says you have to fast on Ekadasi. So don't fast on. See,
Dwadasi.
yeah, Dwadasi. Or the thing is, if you see, sometimes we do this class on Ekadasi, and there is a study by a Japanese scientist who eventually, after a lot of study, came to the conclusion that if one fasts for once in 15 days, one will remain healthy and one will remain will have a long life and free of diseases, etc., etc., etc. So his research only says once in 15 days. Now Ekadasi comes once in 15 days. So Krishna already said that you have to fast once in 15 days. But that Japanese scholar has still not come to the conclusion that which of the 15 days. No, but we know it is on the 11th day of the lunar cycle, 11th day of the waxing moon and the 11th day of the waning moon. And for that also we have the reason why on Ekadasi, why only on the 11th day we should fast. So yes, so okay, now somebody may say, oh, but the scientist said once in 15 days. So I will fast once in 15 days so that I can live healthy and long life. No, that is not Shastric. That is not in the Shastra. That will that will have another adverse effect on the body. So therefore, all kind of sacrifices, austerities, tapasya also should be according to the injunctions of the scriptures. Krishna is saying. So here you can see Srila Prabhupada is cooking, no, according to Shastric injunctions, and he's teaching somebody. He's teaching probably his disciple how to cook. So Prabhupada, when he went to the West, early days, he would have his classes every thrice a week. He would have classes in his early days in the first center that he had rented. And when he paid the rent for that place, he had only that much money to pay the rent for 1 month, and he had no idea. I mean, there's no money to pay the second month's rent, no, because of course he had no money at that time. But of course, Krishna sent him so much money because wherever the Lord is worshipped, then Lakshmi will automatically come. So he would personally cook when people would come to his Gita classes. Whatever was available, he would personally cook and he would distribute. And in the early days, when there were no finances, if there just one apple also, he would slice that apple into that many number of pieces as there are people there who have come to hear him, and he would lovingly offer it to the Lord, and then he would distribute that apple to the people who have come to hear him. So initial days, Srila Prabhupada actually, this movement started, now ISKCON is famous for its prasad, but it started with just that apple. And I was reading an article about the 5 apples that changed the world. What are the 5 apples that changed the world? That article said one apple was Adam's apple. No, when he ate that forbidden apple, so he brought about a revolution in the Garden of Eden. Then another apple that was mentioned there is the apple of Steve Jobs, Apple Records. It brought about a revolution in the world of music. No. Then another apple that was mentioned there was the apple that fell on the head of Isaac Newton. No, and then it led to the discovery of the law of gravity. So that led to a revolution in the field of science. Another apple that he mentioned was the apple of the Beatles. The Beatles. Oh, I think I said the reverse. One apple was the Adam's apple, then was the apple of Isaac Newton, then was the apple of the Beatles, which brought about a revolution in the field of music, and then the apple of Steve Jobs, which brought about a revolution in the world of science, and then Srila Prabhupada's apple that brought about a revolution in the field of spirituality. All over the world, he was able to establish the chanting of Krishna's holy names, like that. And then if you see, when Prabhupada gave his first initiations in the Western world, when he initiated the first group of Western devotees, he accepted them as his disciples. If you read that part in his biography, it's there on the Veda base. They all came, they got initiated, they got their spiritual names, they got their japamalas from Srila Prabhupada, they took their initiation vows, and Srila Prabhupada personally cooked for those disciples. So just see, the guru is personally cooking for his disciples. It should be vice versa, is it not? But early days of ISKCON, and see how compassionate Prabhupada, he was 70 plus years old. He has personally cooked for all of them. They have all eaten and they have left. And then Prabhupada also is cleaning and washing and cleaning all that thing that came about after the ceremony, that initiation ceremony was over. Like that. Okay, coming back to Bhagavad Gita. Yeah.
अभिसन्धाय तु फलम् दम्भार्थमपि चैव यद् युज्यते भरतश्रेष्ठ तं यज्ञं विद्धि राजसम्.
But the sacrifice performed for some material benefit or for the sake of pride, O chief of the Bharatas, you should know to be in the mode of passion.
Sacrifice performed for some material benefit. So I am doing the sacrifice, but I want something in return, no, which we were discussing previously. That is the mode of passion, or for the sake of pride, to show off to the world, show bottle spiritualism. I want to show the world what a great religious person I am, such a great sacrifice I'm able to do. So look how great I am, no, done out of pride to show off to the world. That sacrifice also is in the mode of passion. Krishna is saying. So when Ravana also would do these great yagyas and sacrifices, it was not out of devotion but out of pride, out of pride. Even Duryodhan, if you see in the Mahabharata, he did one yagya called Vaishnava Yagya. Vaishnava Yagya. Now, the word Vaishnava itself tells you that it is actually meant for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. But did Duryodhan have anything to do? Was Duryodhan interested to please Lord Vishnu? Obviously not, because if he was interested to please Lord Vishnu, he would not have rejected the peace proposal of Krishna, which Krishna himself went to deliver personally to Hastinapur before the war would begin. So Duryodhan did this Vaishnava Yagya because Yudhishthir had done the Ratsuya Yagya. That Ratsuya Yagya would prove Yudhishthir's dominance in the world. All the emperors would accept the dominance of Yudhishthir over and above them. They would accept Yudhishthir as the emperor of the world. And Yudhishthir very successfully did that Ratsuya Yagya. And therefore now Duryodhan wanted to do a Yagya that is equal to, if not better, than that Ratsuya Yagya that Yudhishthir did. So therefore, out of that pride, Duryodhan did that Vaishnava Yagya. So it's the intention that counted. So when the sacrifice is done for the sake of pride, that is in the mode of passion, Krishna is saying. See here, he is giving away, somebody is giving away some charity. They have a lot of money, they're giving away some charity, but they will call the media and they will call all these people and show they want this news to be flashed on television and on the newspapers that I have given so much charity to this particular organization. So this is done again out of pride, out of pride. So that Krishna says is done in the mode of passion. Now let us see mode of ignorance.
विधिहीनम् असृष्टान्नम् मन्त्रहीनम् अदक्षिणम् श्रद्धाविरहितम् यज्ञम् तामसम् परिचक्षते.
Any sacrifice performed without regard for the directions of scripture, without distribution of prasadam, without chanting of Vedic hymns and remunerations to the priests, and without faith is considered to be in the mode of ignorance.
So vidhi-hinam, if it is not according to the shastric injunctions, without the vidhi-hinam, then mantra-hinam, without the proper, without chanting, if the mantras are not chanted properly, without chanting of the Vedic hymns, without distribution of prasadam, spiritual food. This is the reason why every spiritual gathering or program in ISKCON is followed by prasadam. Prasad will always be there at the end in some form or the other. Because it's very important that there is distribution of prasad. So any sacrifice performed without regard for the direction of the scripture, without distribution of prasadam, without chanting of Vedic hymns, and remuneration to the priest. So the Brahmana or the priest who has done that ceremony also should be remunerated. The Brahmana should be paid. This is the culture we know as Indians, that whenever a Brahman comes to the house and we do some ceremony, we have to give some donation to the Brahmanas. If we do not do that, then that whatever ceremony you have done is considered to be incomplete. It's considered to be incomplete. If you want that it should be completed successfully, then the Brahmana should be remunerated. And without faith. So we have to do also with faith, one should not think that, oh, this is just a ceremony. What does it matter whether it is done or not? No, not with that attitude. So any sacrifice performed without regard for the scriptures, without prasad, without chanting of Vedic hymns, without remunerating the priest, and without faith, then that is in the tamoguna. That is considered in the mode of ignorance, Krishna says. See here, one can say yagya means what? Yagya means there is a fire and people are offering something in that fire. Now, here also there is a fire and something is being offered in that fire. All this garbage, all this trash, all these vehicles, cycles, everything is. So, is this a yagya? Is
No,
this a
it's not.
yagya? No, why? Because it is not in injunction with the Shastras. Okay, the act is the same. There is fire and there is offering in the fire. Yagya also there is fire and we offer grains in the fire, is it not? But this fire and this offering the fire is not according to Shastric injunctions. The Brahmanas are not paid here. No, there is no mantra being chanted. There is no faith. So therefore, this is not not a sacrifice which is recommended by Krishna. It is in the mode of ignorance. Ignorance. Because ignorance means destruction. They are only destroying property. So sometimes people worship some demigod. These are points from the pulpit. Sometimes people worship some demigod just to make money and then spend the money for recreation, ignoring the scriptural injunctions. Such ceremonial shows of religiosity are not accepted as genuine. So sometimes people are doing some ceremonies, religious ceremonies, but with the intention that I want to show the world. I want people to appreciate me. I want people to say, oh, look how wonderfully she has done something. So this is only show of religiosity. This is only a ceremonial show of religiosity. It is not genuine. Sometimes you will see also film stars, they will go to a temple, very popular. They'll go to Siddhivinayak temple in Mumbai just before their movie is being released. And I don't know what they do now, but previously I have seen in the news how they would take CDs of their movies or the prints and they would keep it at the feet of Siddhivinayak so that the movie is a hit, the movie is successful. But this, and then they call the press, they call the media, they are photographed. So then the movie also receives publicity. It's a publicity stunt that the heroine of the movie went to Siddhivinayak and they prayed and so on. So all this is only a show, ceremonial show of religiosity. So Krishna says that this is in the Tamoguna. Srila Prabhupada continues to write, such ceremonial shows of religiosity are not accepted as genuine. They are all in the mode of darkness. They produce a demoniac mentality and do not benefit human society. So there is no benefit by doing such sacrifices. Now Krishna will talk about austerities in the modes. Before he talks about austerity in Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, he talks about austerity of body, speech and mind in this order. So what do you think is more difficult? Austerity of body, speech or mind? Which is most difficult?
Mind.
The mind.
Mind is most difficult. Which is the easiest amongst the three?
Body.
Body, isn't it? So he's starting from body. So he is going in the increasing order of difficulty when Krishna explains austerity of body, speech and mind. Let us see.
देवद्विजगुरुप्राज्ञ पूजनं शौचमार्जवम् ब्रह्मचर्यमहिंसा च शारीरं तप उच्यते.
Austerity of the body consists in worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like the father and mother, and in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence.
So first of all, Krishna is defining austerity by telling us what is austerity of the mind. So what is austerity of the mind? Worshipping those who are suitable for worship. And who is suitable for worship? The Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, our superiors, like our parents. And we have to worship them in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. So austerity of body means we worship those who are worshipable. So the Lord is worshipable. The Brahmanas are worshipable. Why? Why are the Brahmanas worshipable?
They service God. They serve God.
They serve God. How?
In the mode of goodness.
What are the duties of a Brahmanas? They have
have
six
to be
duties.
pure in their action, speech.
Yes, yes. They are the ones who are educating the society in Vedic knowledge. So they are the teachers of the society. No, they are the teachers of the society. So the Brahmana should be worshipped. The spiritual master, of course, our spiritual master, the Guru, who is guiding us, who takes our karma. The spiritual master at the time of initiation, he takes the karma of the disciple. So whatever nonsense the disciple has done before initiation, everything is wiped clean at the time of initiation. Everything is absorbed, taken away by the spiritual master. So the spiritual master is so merciful. Who is ready to take somebody else's karma in this Kali Yuga? Very, very, one has to be very, very compassionate to be able to do that. No, so the spiritual master is so compassionate that he agrees to take all that karma, all that nonsense the disciple may have done before initiation. Everything is taken away by the spiritual master. So therefore, the spiritual master is worshipable. Superiors are worshipable, parents are worshipable because they have brought, we have this body, we have got this opportunity, we have got this human body because of our parents. No, and we have to worship in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. So this is austerity of the body. Now, one step higher, one step more difficult is austerity of speech, which Krishna is going to explain. Let's see what he says.
अनुद्वेगकरं वाक्यं सत्यं प्रियहितं च यद् स्वाध्यायाभ्यसनं चैव वाङ्मयं तप उच्यते.
Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others, and also in regularly reciting Vedic literature.
So austerity of speech is what? Speak words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, not agitating, and reciting Shastra. Now, one may say that there is a contradiction here. Can anybody spot what can appear as a contradiction?
Is it pleasing?
So, pleasing is contradictory with what? What appears to be a contradiction?
Truthful. If you are
Why truthful and pleasing are contradictory?
sometimes if you just to please others, if you hide the truth, then you are not following the
Yes, because they say truth is bitter. So, if truth is bitter, how can it be pleasing? We say bitter truth, is it not? So, it appears to be a contradiction. But how can we understand this? How can we speak the truth and make it pleasing at the same time?
in a nice tone, if you say the truth.
Yes, yes, the tone, no, the tone matters. So, yes, you have to speak the truth. Yes, you have to speak the bitter truth, but you don't have to say it in a bitter way. So that way it can be truthful and as well as it can be pleasing. It should be beneficial. Whatever we speak should be beneficial to the person who's hearing. Otherwise, what is the need? There is no need to speak it. If somebody has committed an error and we correct the person and the person is getting benefited, then yes, there is austerity of speech. But if one is only gossiping, no, one is just gossiping, and that speech is not beneficial, not neither for the person who's speaking it, not for the person who's hearing it, then that is not austerity of speech. So gossip is something that is not beneficial for both parties, no. So therefore, austerity of speech means you speak that which is beneficial, not agitating to others. Again, it should not agitate, not make somebody else angry. And also one should be speaking Vedic literature, speak from the Shastra, speak to glorify Guru, speak to glorify Krishna, speak to glorify the Vaishnavas, no, not to criticize anybody. One can criticize, one can correct someone if it is beneficial for that person. Now, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that, for example, a teacher can scold the student because the teacher wants to correct the student and it is beneficial for the student. But if somebody is not accepting you as an authority, then there is no need for you to speak and agitate that person. See, even Bhagavad Gita, if you observe, Krishna started to instruct Arjuna only when Arjuna surrendered, only when Arjuna asked for it, only when Arjuna accepted Krishna as authority. Now, Krishna said, I am a soul surrendered unto you, please instruct me. So, that is the turning point of the Bhagavad Gita, no? Chapter 2, verse number 7. So, only when Arjuna accepted Krishna as authority there at that point, only then the Bhagavad Gita flowed. Only then Krishna started to instruct the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So, truth should be, austerity of speech means the word should be truthful, pleasing, beneficial, not agitating, and regularly reciting Vedic literatures. See, speech can either build bridges or it can build walls. What we speak, we should be very careful what we speak. So, better to build bridges, not the walls. So, truth, this we already discussed. Truth is bitter, but it doesn't have to be said in a bitter way. Srila Prabhupada writes in the pulpit, one should not speak in such a way as to agitate the minds of others. Of course, when a teacher speaks, he can speak the truth for the instruction of his students, but such a teacher should not speak to those who are not his students if he will agitate their minds. If he will agitate their minds. So, how Krishna's words? Now, Krishna says that speech should have these characteristics. Now, did Krishna himself follow? Is Krishna practicing what he's preaching? Yes, of course. How can we know it? Non-agitating. Krishna never name calls or demonizes Arjuna's opponents for inciting him to fight. See, this is very, very interesting. Krishna, he wanted Arjuna to fight the war, but he never incited Arjuna to fight the war by reminding him of the atrocities that the Kauravas have done since childhood, which Krishna could have very easily done. Very easily, he could have told Arjuna, you remember the time when they tried to burn that wax house? Do you remember the time when Bhim was poisoned and thrown in the water? Do you remember the time when Draupadi, they tried to disrobe Draupadi in front of everybody else? Do you remember the time when they stripped you of all your valuables in that gambling match? Do you remember how Shakuni cheated in that gambling match? Krishna never said any of those things to Arjuna in the entire Bhagavad Gita to incite Arjuna to fight. Krishna always spoke dharma in the entire Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna's speech was non-agitating and truthful. See, Krishna told him, Krishna had to tell Arjuna the bitter truth that if you leave the war and go, people will say that you are a coward. People will say in the future that you are a coward and you will be humiliated. So Krishna told Arjuna the plain truth. People will not see you as this great man who has sacrificed the war because he was not greedy for the kingdom. No, they will not speak that. They will say that this guy was a coward and he ran away from the battlefield. So Krishna told Arjuna the truth. At the same time, Krishna was very pleasing, very encouraging. He pleased and encouraged Arjuna by telling him so many times, what are the kind of, how did Krishna inspire Arjuna? First of all, he called him many names. He would call him so many names like Savyasachi. When he calls him Savyasachi, actually he's glorifying Arjuna, saying that yes, you are equally efficient with both the hands. Or when he calls him Mahabaho, the mighty armed one. So like that, he calls Arjuna by these names, which inspire Arjuna to because he's glorifying Arjuna, so that inspires Arjuna even more. So it's very pleasing for Arjuna to hear. And also he reminds him of his virtuous and glorious deeds. And also Krishna makes some promises, like he tells him that once one comes to the spiritual world, then he will not go back again. So these are very, very inspiring promises that Krishna gives to Arjuna. So these Krishna's words were very pleasing. Beneficial, yes. Krishna's words benefited not only Arjuna, but continued to benefit the whole of humanity. So whatever Krishna spoke was definitely very, very beneficial. And it is also scriptural. Actually, whatever Krishna speaks is Shastra. He's the composer and the knower of the Shastra. Vedanta with, Veda with, we saw in 15th chapter. So it is also scriptural. So what Krishna is saying is the austerity of speech. Krishna himself also walked the talk. Now one can say that, but then Krishna did say something that was very, very agitating. For example, in 2.11, Krishna had called Arjuna a fool. Because what did Krishna tell Arjuna? While speaking learned words, you are mourning for that which is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So he's saying that you are speaking learned words, but you are lamenting. So he's saying, in other words, he's telling him that you are foolish, you are not wise, you are only speaking learned words, but you are not wise. So, in other words, he is calling him a fool. So, one can say, but this is a very, very agitating statement. But one should remember that Krishna spoke this in 2.11 after Arjuna had surrendered to Krishna. After. So 2.7 was a verse when Arjuna said that I am your disciple, a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So there was a statement of faith. Arjuna had placed his faith in Krishna. Only then Krishna has used these strong words in 2.11. Just as how Srila Prabhupada said, a teacher can correct the student because the student has placed the faith in the teacher. So Arjuna has placed the faith. He has already accepted Krishna as a superior authority. And after that only Krishna has used this statement. Now let's see what are the austerities of the mind.
मनः प्रसादः सौम्यत्वम् मौनमात्म विनिग्रहः भावसंशुद्धिरित्येतद् तपोमानसमुच्यते.
And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and of the mind.
Satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind. So mind is something that will always want that which we do not have. That is the nature of the mind. Krishna said previously that an uncontrolled mind is your worst enemy and a controlled mind is your best friend. So what kind of a mind? Austerity of mind means what? Austerity of mind means one should be satisfied. One should be satisfied with whatever one has. No? One should be simplicity. Krishna says simplicity. There should be no duplicity in your dealings. One should be simple and straightforward in your dealings. Gravity means monam. Don't speak. No need to speak unnecessarily. Speak that which is required and speak sense. Speak from the Shastra. Speak to glorify the Lord and his devotees. Self-control. Control your senses. Don't be hankering after sense gratification. And purification of one's existence. If one maintains oneself pure by one's habits, by what one sees, what one hears, what one eats. So purification of one's existence. These are the austerities of the mind, Krishna is saying. So Krishna has explained first austerity of body, then speech, and then mind in increasing order of difficulty. Now he'll talk about this in the three modes of material nature. Let's see.
श्रद्धया परया तप्तं तपस्तत्त्रिविधं नरैः अफलाकाङ्क्षिभिर्युक्तैः सात्विकं परिचक्षते.
This threefold austerity, performed with transcendental faith by men not expecting material benefits but engaged only for the sake of the Supreme, is called austerity in goodness.
So this threefold austerity, which threefold austerity? Which threefold austerity is Krishna talking about here?
Pure mind, speech, and body.
Yes, exactly. What Krishna has just explained, no? Austerity of body, speech, and mind. So this threefold austerity, when it is performed with faith by men not expecting material benefits. So again, one does austerity without expecting anything in return from the Lord. And it is done only for the sake of the Supreme, only to please the Lord. That Krishna says is austerity in goodness, not expecting anything in return. Akanksha afala akanksha one those who are without desires for fruits. That is Satvikam. That is in the mode of goodness. Now let us see in the
सत्कारमान पूजार्थं तपोदम्भेन चैव यद् क्रियते तदिह प्रोक्तं राजसं चलमध्रुवम्.
Penance performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship is said to be in the mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent.
So penance performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship. So we already explained Hiranyakashipu. We already explained how Duryodhan did that Vaishnava Yagya also. So this is penance performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship. This is what Duryodhan wanted. That Yudhishthir did it, so I also want to be honored like Yudhishthir. I also want to show I should also be respected and honored. So that is said to be in the mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent. Why? Because it is on a
Mode of
material platform or spiritual
Mode of
platform.
passion.
Because it is in the mode of
passion.
Passion.
because it's on the material platform. No, so therefore it is not stable, it is not permanent. So whatever honor, respect, worship one may receive out of doing this penance in the mode of passion, that will not be stable, that will not be permanent. We'll do the last verse for the day.
मूढग्राहेणात्मनो यद् पीडया क्रियते तपः परस्योत्सादनार्थं वा तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्.
Out of foolishness, with self-torture, or to destroy or injure others, is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
So penance performed out of foolishness with self-torture. So sometimes somebody does a lot of tapasya, but one is only torturing the body. It is not in the Shastric injunctions. Sometimes one may go on an extreme fast because, I don't know, sometimes the workers may go on a fast because they want a salary raise. Or sometimes students may go on a fast against the college administration. So like this, penance performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others, that is said to be in the mode of ignorance, Krishna is saying. So always penance should be done within the injunction of the Shastra. Now one may say that, but aren't we torturing ourselves when we fast on Ekadasi? Aren't we torturing ourselves when we do Nirjala fast? Aren't we torturing ourselves when we, for example, fast on Janmashtami till 12 midnight? So we should remember that all these different fasting methods or austerities or tapasya that are mentioned in the Shastra, automatically it is good for our health. It is good for us to live a longer life. It's good for our lifespan. Automatically, all these rules are good for our material well-being as well as spiritual well-being. Now, in the world of science, they have discovered how when one fasts, there is a phenomenon called autophagy. Autophagy means when we fast, the bad cells in the body are eaten up by the good cells. Because we are fasting, the body is taking a break from digesting. The bad cells the body gets time to repair itself. So the bad cells are eaten by the good cells. That is called as autophagy in the world of science again. So but all this is already explained to us millions of years ago in our Shastras. No? So all the austerities and tapasya that are mentioned in the Shastras is actually good for our health, is actually good for our health. So that is not torturing us, that is helping us to transcend the modes of nature. That is meant for transcending, that is not meant for torturing. But anything that is not written in the Shastra, that will have an adverse effect, that will torture. So penance performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others, or to prove a point to others or destroy somebody else, that Krishna says is in the mode of ignorance. That is not recommended. So this penance that was done by Hiranyakashipu, it comes under this category. Comes under this category. There are instances of foolish penance undertaken by demons like Hiranyakashipu, who perform austere penances to become immortal and kill the demigods. He prayed to Lord Brahma for such things, but ultimately he was killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To undergo penances for something which is impossible is certainly in the mode of ignorance. So Hiranyakashipu was foolish because he wanted something from Lord Brahma that could not be given to him by Lord Brahma. He wanted immortality, but Brahma himself is not immortal. So how can he get immortality? So foolish. Next, Krishna will explain the charity in the three modes, but that we will see in the next class if Krishna so sanctions. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Does anybody have any question or comments?
Can I ask you a question about nature?
Nature.
Yeah, nature. Like, you know that we are born, but our nature is inbuilt with us because of our activities in previous births. And then we have certain attitudes and moods. And so, how do we acquire our nature? Is it through the activities? I was under the illusion that it is only under the activities, because like we do certain type of activity, tamoguni, rajaguni, sattva-guni, we acquire our nature, then that nature goes to the next birth, next body, next mind. Our mind travels in the next body with gross body, subtle mind, mind, ego, and subtle body, right? Something of those, one or the other. So our nature is acquired through the activities that we are doing. Is that the only cause of our nature? In tamas, rajasic, and sattvic one?
Yeah, we carry the impressions of the previous lifetime to this lifetime. But then in this lifetime, there can be factors that can change also. For example, when we come in contact with devotees, when we come in contact with Shastra, then we can rise from the lower nature to the higher nature.
Yeah, but to build that nature is only one acquirement is done, just the previous activities, nothing else.
Yeah, we acquire. If we have to acquire at birth, then it is coming from the previous lifetime based on what we did.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
No.
Does anybody else have any other question or comment? Okay, then, since there are no more questions or comments, we will see you in the next class. If Krishna so sanctions, and hopefully, I think we should be able to finish the chapter in the next class. Till then, have a nice weekend, Krishna consciousness. Vancha kalpataro vyascha, kripa sindhu vyayevacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.